I want to start by questioning the key theme of what TEDx is. TEDx is built on the theme of ideas worth spreading. But I'm here to tell you that ideas actually don't build big businesses. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Everybody has ideas. Ideas are good, and we'll come to why it's good. But businesses are built by ideas that actually solve a real problem. I think everybody in this room has business ideas, right? It's just written down, scribbled in a notebook, ideally, or on a notes app, or somewhere. But if your idea isn't solving a problem for an actual consumer, it really isn't worth much. What matters really is taking insights from people's behaviors, the problems people have, the things people do, and turning it into a solution that really solves a problem for somebody. I discovered all of this when I built my company called Coupl. Coupl, for context, is a digital joint account neobank that helps couples, especially young couples, manage their household expenses together. Now, for context, about 2 years back, I moved in with my girlfriend, and we started to finally manage household expenses. So what did we do? We took a WhatsApp group like this, and we started logging in all our spends. So we wouldn't use this group to send memes or good morning messages or like cute reels or whatever. It would be Zepto this, Bestcom that, rent this, right? And we would do this every day because we finally realized that, oh shit, we have to really log in expenses on a daily basis, either to split it later, to manage a budget, whatever it was. And this became a very painful process. We realized after talking to a lot of people that so many young couples end up doing these weird hacks. It's a WhatsApp group, it's Splitwise. Splitwise is great for friends, really bad for couples, or it's joint accounts. A lot of our parents, a lot of older people told us that, hey, why don't you open a joint account? It is so much easier. But one, right off the bat, as a unmarried couple, you can't even open a joint account. And if you are a married couple, the process to open one is extremely tough. You need to physically go to the bank together, which is already tough to go on a weekday because banks for some reason close at 4 p.m. After that, you need to fill out a lot of paperwork, ideally have the same surname, have the same address, and then you're forced to maintain this minimum balance of 20,000-30,000 rupees in this account, which you want to use to probably spend a total of 30,000 the whole month. Now, this did not make sense for us. And what really sounded even more off was that at a time when you could get groceries for in 5 minutes, and in some places in like HSR layout, maybe 4 minutes, it still takes a week, maybe 2 weeks to open a bank account. And this is the same bunch of 20, 30-year-olds who want things instantly. So we knew that something was obviously off, and this was a pain point that we faced, and it's a pain point that probably a lot of other people were facing too. That was the first insight. Now, back then I was a management consultant, and what that essentially means is golden handcuffs, right? It's a great job, attract a partner, all of that stuff, right? So it's very tough to actually want to leave. But I thankfully got the chance to actually work with startups during my job. And I realized that, advising startups is damn cool. I mean, it looks great on paper, it looks great on the CV. But what's really fun is actually building your own startup. And somehow this came at the same time that I got this insight from a problem that I faced on my own. So therefore, the logical next step was, let's start up. But when it comes to starting up, there's always the same key questions that everybody asks, either themselves or people ask them, right? I mean, imagine going to your parent or a friend and saying, I want to start up. It's how much funding can you raise? How much funding have you raised? How scalable is this idea? And how big is this market, right? And mind you, all these things are super important. I think that is very, very important at some point of time. But in the early days, it's just about asking yourself, are you solving a real problem? Now, what is something that you see, right? What is a behavior you notice that either others don't, or that others have noticed but have just figured that, hey, this is just how things are? Right, for me, it was that WhatsApp group. For me, it was Splitwise, having a tough time opening a joint account. For you, it could be something very, very different. But it's about understanding that, and questioning that what really can change and why is nobody changing it. The early days were absolutely brutal. unlike what you see in Silicon Valley or you see in the social network and all these movies, you can't really build out a consumer fintech app from your mom's garage or your mom's basement. You need to first get a bank to say, yes, sure, we'll partner with you, the RBI to say, yeah, sure, you can build this product. And only then can you write even a line of code. So that's how the early days look like. So obviously, logically, I went to 10 banks and 30 investors and said, you know what, I'm going to build this. What do you think? And everybody said no. One even said, couples don't need a bank account, and verbatim, couples don't need a bank account, they need therapy. Why are you building this, right? So rejection after rejection felt very normal. It felt like, that's just how it is to start up, right? I mean, that's what you kind of just hear about. But what we realized a little later is that rejection often means that you're not really solving a real problem, right? Either not solving a real problem or you're not even clear on what the problem is. And then we kind of went back. We had probably talked to 10 couples and, vaguely asked them that, hey, I'm this really hotshot guy and I'm building this awesome app for you. Will you use it? Now, it's socially weird to actually say, no, I won't use it. And this is the problem that so many people actually kind of go through, that they have an idea, they go to validate it by trying to convince people, and they don't really get any insights there. So we changed the approach. What we instead did was we spoke to 200 couples, and it took a very, very long time, and we let them rant. We let them talk. What are your problems? What are your problems with money? How do you do it? Etc., etc. And that gave us clarity that no amount of random research online could possibly ever. And I think that was the kind of first lesson that I particularly learned when it actually comes to validating your idea. And we then realized that we don't have to build this awesome new app for couples. Sometimes people just solve their own problems in their own hacky way. So when you think of a new idea, and if you see people already solving it in their own way, that's actually a great sign. That means that this problem is so top of mind for them that they've already found clumsy ways to solve it. It does not mean that, they've already solved it, don't approach it. We found that people tried joint accounts, right? So we realized, and people like joint accounts, we realized that, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's just make the wheel 100 times better for the average couple. Now, long story short, that's what got us into Y Combinator, which, for your reference, is the world's largest seed stage venture capital fund. It was run for a long time by Sam Altman as well. And that really taught us a lot of lessons, which I really want to share with you today about the early mistakes of starting up, either an app, art, building, any kind of project. Ideas are great, as I said, but a dime a dozen. You have to solve real problems. The example I often take is that a carpenter doesn't want a hammer. He just wants a 3-inch hole. And you just have to solve that for him somehow. The idea is not building a hammer. Sure, the insight will then result into you building a hammer, but you have to always focus on how do you solve that particular problem. And sometimes you may just realize that it doesn't need an app. It just needs probably a service. It just needs probably therapy. It needs counseling. You don't know. So ideas are not everything. Solve a real problem. Number 2, it's better, we talk about scale so often in starting up that, it has to be 1 million users, 10 million users, or even if it's 10,000 users. But it is always better to have 100 people that really love you than about 10,000 people that just kind of like you. That, yeah, it's a decent app. No, you'd rather have 100 people who obsess over it, who say, I was really looking forward to this app. I'm really happy I have it. Thank you for solving this for me. Because it's those 100 that will help you shape the product in the future, that will tell another 100 people, and that's actually how it worked for us. The initial 400 users we had actually were the kind of patient zero for the next 35,000. Next, do things that don't scale. Again, scale, we want to run performance marketing, we want to run influencer marketing, we want to do all this stuff, right? But do things that don't scale. And I'll tell you what I mean. I mean as simple as, when we launched the product, we started onboarding couples one by one. So when a couple came on board, and we didn't do this for thousands, but few hundreds. When a couple came on board, we said, actually you can't download the app. you fill a Google form, okay, and then we will call them, and then we will send them this test flight, which is an iPhone app where you can download an app. We send them this test flight link, but in that call, what we do is we try to understand who they are, why they came on board, what problem they have, and how do they find out about Coupl. And this often gave us so much of insight as to that this is exactly what the target audience looks like. It's not the, let's say, the 38-year-old couple, it's the 27-year-old couple that just got married. So now we know going forward, when we do marketing and when we do scale, we know exactly who to target. We found out why they came on board, because they were looking for a certain joint account from a certain bank and they didn't quite like the experience. So now we know how to position it as well, that hey, it's a better experience than that bank. These things really helped more than anything else. And finally, launch fast and learn faster. If the first version of an app looks like this, you have launched way too late. It should ideally look like that, right? It's not about this perfect, sexy looking app that you've launched which looks so good. It's about something that just works. Because if it just works, and if people are still using it, you're solving a real problem for them, and then you can spend all the funding and the money and the revenue and all of that to make it look like that. So now, why am I sharing all of this really with you? Because my story isn't about couples or banking or anything like that. It's about refusing to actually accept, number one, that and this is just how things are done. That if there's a problem that enough number of people have and they have very strongly, then it's probably worthwhile trying to solve it, right? Not necessarily through an app, but solving it anyhow. Ideas can often feel too small or too big, but if you take that framework that people have found ways to solve it or people have found clumsy hacks, then you're in the right direction. So the key theme is not couples, the key theme is not banking, it's just this is not how things are done. And if I, as just a random guy from Bits on a WhatsApp group can actually build a business that's backed by global investors solving a real problem, then really, why can't you? So in short, ideas really are great. Ideas really do spark conversations, and I think a lot of that is going to be heard and discussed today. But ideas are not enough. Ideas have to be rooted in real problems faced by humans. And the hard thing today is not building an app. And I mentioned, the app should look like that and all of this. Today, honestly, with AI, you can build a very nice looking app very quickly. So that's not tough anymore. What's really tough is knowing what to solve, is actually knowing that this is the problem, this should be the solution, and to actually stick on with it. And that's what I want to leave you with overall, that what is a frustration that you often see in your life, you see often enough in yourself, in your daily life, that you think about maybe at least once a day, or that people around you, probably face. Challenge that and see if you can solve it somehow, right? Through an app, through any way. And these principles are true when you're creating art, rethinking your community, building a startup. Because the future isn't really built by those who wait, it's built by those who start and those who do. Thank you. Awesome.